Hello, good evening.
Hello.
So, if anybody's out there watching, I am Somisawhel, and my guest this evening is the amazing Mistress Ansteys. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's fun to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining me tonight. And we're gonna play a little 20 questions and then see if anybody's watching live and has other real or silly questions they want to ask us. I'm a big fan of the silly questions because I can only do serious for so long, but
Sounds good to me.
probably that.
You have that desire to be the Comic-Con where they come up with the terrible questions. So, lay them on us.
I just, I don't want it to feel like a job interview. That's always so weird. Although our HR at my job recently added in a question for applicants that is, if you could be a mythical creature, what would it be and why? That's a real question. That's a real honest to God job interview question. I was like, anyway, we won't ask that, but we'll ask some other silly questions.
Joke.
Okay. My first question for you is, what is more important, talent or hard work, and why?
Ooh, I say hard work, because talent will only get you so far. Talent might get you the opportunity to find inspiration, but hard work is what makes anything happen. So the harder the work, the luckier the person, right?
That's why you're a pelican, right? Because of the hard work.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's true. How did becoming a pelican change your game in the SCA?
Ooh, well, I go to lots of events out of Kingdom, and having those papers, it's like we've got the papers. It gave me an opportunity to help, that people were more willing to give me a chance to be able to help. That
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, here's my passport. That is,
exactly.
here's my work visa. Authorization.
I would say that's probably the main one, and that it's easy for somebody to say, her, like when somebody's confused, it's an identifying feature, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a service person. She'll help. She probably has helium hand.
Oh, very strategic. Very strategic.
That's good. That's good. It's easy to get too sort of far into that and then suddenly find your plate so full of things that you can't breathe.
Right. Or with things that you're not really suited to, So I think that's one of the things that I know that you and I have had this conversation about. All right, will you do this job? Well, what is the job? What exactly is the job? What do you expect? What needs to happen? And then, is that something I can do or not?
Yeah. So. Yeah. Is it something that I'm capable of? And is it something that is going to even remotely keep me engaged enough? I mean, yes, I know it's not always about doing what's fun, but when none of it's fun, then
right,
none of it's fun.
Right. And I mean, one has the things that one can do easily that maybe aren't the most fun. But really, I think as pelicans, we're called to do things joyfully. We're supposed to make service look fun, because it really is fun. So if 19 times out of 20, those are the jobs you can pick, then it's all for the better.
Yeah. I started doing service when I first started in the SEA, and it was mainly because I kind of didn't know what to do with myself. I never was, especially at like a bigger event. Like I don't necessarily want to go sit by the side of the battlefield and watch the melee or whatever the thing may be. So I've got to find some way to keep myself busy. And it frequently ended up like doing dishes or let me volunteer for something. I'll sit at gate for 6 hours. It'll be great.
Right, right. With me, I started because my first office really pretty early because I figured out, well, if I go to populist meeting, if I go to the business meetings, I'll have an idea what's actually happening. And I'll meet people who are really understand what this is all about instead of sort of fumbling blindly. And so I started out hanging out with people that's what they did, is they made stuff happen, so that I had really early examples of this is how the game is played, is that's what you do.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I've always played in the Shire of Driggistan, which is small. And so that was the only thing that would happen. We would have Shire meeting. And so everybody went. And it became very easy to get volunteered for things. Because if you're sitting there, you're kind of a sitting duck. If someone's like, oh, I have this great opportunity for you to learn something new, which is how I originally got handed 2 cardboard boxes full of assorted papers and told, guess what? You're the new exchequer.
And I've held a lot of offices, but I would say that's the one. Like, I don't want to be a coroner, and I don't ever really want to be an exchequer again. Like, that's, I just, like I could.
Yeah. It was also a real because there had been at the time, this was many, many years ago, before everything was digitized. It was all on paper, and there had been no report turned in for 2 years. So,
oh no.
So when I say I was handed 2 cardboard boxes full of papers, it was just papers. So that was quite the introduction to service. Yeah. Anyway, time for a silly question. Okay. Is the glass half empty or half full?
And it's half full. For sure.
What's in that glass?
What time of day is it, and how hot is it outside?
Just pick, or both.
Okay.
It's water. What's in your glass in the morning, and what's in your glass in the evening?
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Most of the time it's water because I have to be loud. So water, but otherwise cider. And if it's a tiny glass, it's scotch. But yeah, I have water because I'm responsible and I live in the desert, right?
Yeah. I have never been able to get into scotch. It just, that's a lot. I'll stick with gin and tonics. Refreshing. Coffee in the morning and gin and tonics at night. And I figure that has water value, right?
Certainly, yes, sure, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is your most precious piece of pelican regalia?
Ooh, well, I don't own very many, and each one is precious because each one of them was given to me by somebody, both that I care about and that had something good to say or important to say when they gave it to me. So I can't, it's like choosing between your babies. I can't really pick.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Makes sense. Back to silly. Who would be better as an event steward, a cat or a dog?
I would say a dog. Dog. Okay. Dogs like to have a job. You know, they have a job and they want to do the job and they want to make you happy by doing the job, but they're not afraid of showing some teeth and getting shit done. Like, you know, dogs.
Good call. Good call. Dogs, but no pugs.
Well, maybe not.
No. We have a question in the chat, which is, what is your favorite kind of service in the SCA? Such as offices, autocrating, general volunteering, and then the the second part of that question is, do you ever feel pigeonholed into one category?
Ooh, that's a great question, because I feel like, I've been doing this a long time and I've done all of those things, lots of offices, autocratic events, all of those things. But I think my favorite at the moment, is things to do with heralding, not being a herald necessarily. Like I often say, I'm not that kind of herald. Like there's the kind of herald I'm not. But a good herald can make the show smooth and can make the crown look good and can make things run on time and make people feel valued. So I would say that that's probably at the moment, but really it's what's the thing that I can do and where's the place I can help the most would be the answer. And so, no, I don't feel like I really get pigeonholed. I mean, it's interesting because I think with time, people forget, because our generations in the SCA are so short that people are like, oh, I forgot that you were the seneschal. Oh, yeah, I forgot that you used to do that thing or this thing or the other thing. But I don't think I really get pigeonholed that much. So, I mean, maybe, but I don't know what other people are thinking. So maybe it doesn't bother me. I don't know.
I will tell you that you are amazing at the keeping things organized and running on time and smooth and looking seamless and, paddling like a duck under the water. Right?
Thank you.
So, seamless on the surface. So, thank you, Duchess Nichelle, for that question. Another question, another chat question from the Honorable Lady Marion Forrester, which is, how do you avoid burnout and keep service fresh and exciting?
Ooh, this is great. All right, how do I avoid burnout? Really, I mean, I guess I think my answer is obvious, but I don't know what other people would say. But engaging with new people, not necessarily new people, but people who've been around long enough to start figuring out where they want to be. If I can help them and talk to them about the philosophy of the service and, this is why this thing matters, that's really what does it for me. And talking to people about the things that they're passionate about is totally my jam. So that's, yeah.
Helping someone find their niche.
Yeah. And if you can get somebody who's pretty new working gate, they're going to meet everybody and they're going to see the names written down and see the faces at the same time. Like, that's awesome. They'll just, meet people. And because I think people do want to contribute, but often they just don't. I mean, that's one of the things that's the draw about the SCA is it's a place where we're uniquely valued, but helping people figure out what their spot is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So,
which rolls right into the next question, which is from Baroness Morgan. And it is,
okay.
How do you encourage others to provide service?
Make it look fun.
Yeah.
Really, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, really, that's it. You make it look fun. And also, for me, I think sometimes people are afraid to volunteer because they think they won't know what to do, or it's such a foreign idea, whatever the job is. It's not something that necessarily translates to the mundane world. And so showing them that it's not some huge, overwhelming thing can encourage to show people that it's not as hard as you might think it is. And look, it is fun. You do get to meet all the people if you're working at gate, or you get first dibs on the goodies if you're working in the kitchen, or feel the people's selfishness sometimes.
But I don't know. I mean, the thing is too that we have the opportunity to help people really figure out where they shine, and that's just a really cool thing. So, and that's encouraging people to find a place where they can do good and avoid the pitfalls is really,
Yeah. Yeah, it's because it's easy to find those pitfalls sometimes, I think, to get trapped in that or find yourself stuck with something that maybe isn't in your wheelhouse or your skill set, or suddenly you are too too busy, or you've overcommitted, or whatever it may be. So
Right. And I think that's sort of a middle not when you're new and not when you're really seasoned, is you get kind of, there is a tendency to feel obligated to help when you're asked or when it's proposed, and not to really think, is this something that I can do well, that I can do for the amount of time? Like, there's just some stuff I shouldn't do. So
I mean, it's like
we
always talks about work-life balance, and I think SCA work-life balance is also a thing we want to serve, but we also want to make sure we're still having fun and not burning out.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, now we have a comment and a question from, I hope I get this right, Lady Raylena. She says, I just want to say Mistress Ansteys is kind of my hero in the SCA. I love how she carries herself and how she treats others around her. I love her silliness and her attention to detail, which matter to me. And here's the question part. Is she considering still facilitating more roundtable discussions at events? Because she truly enjoyed that during your reign.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Raylena. I would love to do that. I was fortunate that Sir Roland, really, when he figured out that was something I was really enjoying, that he kind of took that on and said, hey, do you want me to make that happen at this event? And the answer was always, if it's convenient for the autocrat, if it'll fit in the schedule, all of those things. So I would love to do that if it's not stepping on somebody else's fun or somebody else's plan or, what needs to happen. But I would be all about that.
Yes. Well, there we go. And now you know what your task will be when we get to reopen someday.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yes. All right. So back to my questions.
Okay.
Do any comments or pieces of advice from your vigil, I guess either one of your vigils, stand out as memorable, either good or bad?
So I had lots of vigils because I like to talk to people, as I'm sure you figured out. But I think the number one, several pieces stood out, but really, people will tell you, if you haven't been through a vigil, people will tell you, oh, wait a year before you talk in circle, or wait, blah, blah, blah. And a very wise woman said to me, we all know you have an opinion. You might as well use it. It's like, awesome. Yay. I have permission to talk in circle right away. Sweet.
I love that. A piece of advice I give in vigils is I encourage people to wait a year before taking on a student of any kind, just because I feel like you join that order and it might take a little while to figure out who you are in that order. I feel like it's kind of nice to have a little time to settle into it before you start trying to mentor someone else. But that's my personal opinion, and I know a lot of people don't agree with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's very wise advice, because it takes time. I really think it does take time to figure out what you are bringing to the order. I mean, like, people have opinions about what you're about, but to figure out, people can have a very different place in one of the orders than they do sort of in the regular SCA place. And so figuring that out, does take time. It just does take time.
Yeah, it does. And for me, I spoke up in my first circle, so I took whoever's advice that was, even though I didn't know. But I think it's especially those of us who are like really on a path to that peerage, and maybe it's something you wanted for a long time or you were really working hard toward, and then I think once you're in it, there's this time where you're kind of going, now what? Right? I'm here now. What does it actually mean to be here? Because it's not, at least for me, it was not necessarily what I thought it was somehow. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was a laurel before I was a pelican, so becoming a pelican, I think, was a little bit different for me. But yeah, what's discussed wasn't necessarily. I thought, really? Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, this is the topic of conversation. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm. Um, hmm. Would you rather autocrat a kingdom event every year or be a kingdom officer forever?
What's the office? I'd rather be an officer, I think. I well, if I guess I don't know. I don't know. Depends. It depends. Is it the same event every year? No, I don't want to do that. Right? I don't want to autocrat the same event every year. But be an officer. I'd
Yeah,
take being an officer.
officer
Yeah.
forever. Um, oh, Shyla has a question for us. Since many people who serve do so behind the scenes and their service is quiet and not seen by a lot of people, what can we do to see that those people are recognized so that they continue to feel encouraged to serve?
Well, I will say, I don't know that I necessarily agree that people who work behind the scenes aren't seen, because a lot of people have come up through that path of
Yeah.
being where things need to happen when they need to happen. There's lots of people who started their service being the person to figure out where the tables need to be set up when court's over and the feast is getting ready to start.
Yeah.
So I think that those people actually get a lot more notice than
Right.
sometimes it feels like. But I think that's one of the jobs that pelicans have, is to it's not the malevolent seeing who's doing what, but it's really, we notice
Yeah.
because service matters to us
Right.
and people
However,
contributing matters to us.
especially now, so much of it is digital and is not at events.
Right.
So specifically people who are like web ministers or um, social media officers, or some of those things that happen and are super essential, but you might never know that that person exists. Yeah, one of my sisters in my household is the kingdom emergency person
Oh, yeah.
in in California where she
Oh,
lives.
Getha. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
We
and
notice.
so yes, but some people who are in those kinds of jobs, they don't necessarily get noticed because they're working online or they're working like truly behind the scenes.
Right.
Their service is before the event happens or in between, or they're the person who writes the newsletters, or so I think that is probably a good thing for us to always be mindful
Right.
of.
And I'm not saying that it's not an issue. I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
people behind the scenes don't get overlooked. But I think that there are people who care about that, who care about seeing that people, making them feel valued. And so, one of the ways that I like to think about it is, okay, I'm getting ready for an event. So car trips is where I think about these sorts of things a lot, all those long hours driving, but all of the things that led up to this moment for me going to this event. How did I find out about it? Who organized things? Who wrote those press releases? Who published them? How'd they come to my notice? And then thinking through the event going forward, who's going to be working gate? So that I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
To look for those names and to see who those people are. So I think that would be my answer to the other half of the question that I remember vaguely was, how do you encourage them? It's by thanking them, by noticing them, and by acknowledging their efforts. And I think that that's one of our jobs. And it's not you do this, but again, we do it because it matters and service matters to us.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you're an amazing example of the peerage, so that the rest of us can strive to be so good. So, Mistress Akalina asked, who is a non-peer that inspires you and why?
Ooh. So when I was let's talk about being a pelican. So when I was made a pelican, I heralded for myself. And one of the things I did was basically said, people now know me. So I brought up 7 people that I thought were examples of where the SCA is growing and where it needs to go. So looking around right now, a non-peer that inspires me. There's so many. There's so many non-peers who inspire me. Let me think. All right, so this is tough because you don't want to call somebody out and then have all the other people feel that they don't matter.
Right.
It's not fair.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Not.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. We don't have to mention specifics and just know. And also, it's hard right now because we've been isolated for a year. So some of the people who inspired me a year ago, I don't know where they are. And probably that's on me because I'm really bad at keeping in touch, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there are so many, and I do not, there are wise and funny and hardworking and kick-ass people everywhere I look in the SCA. So I don't think that's,
That's okay. We'll just say all of them.
Plead the fifth.
All of them. We'll just say all.
Okay, there you go.
All inspiring. Lady Runa asked if Mattel were making a toy version of you, what kind of toy would you be? And what accessories would you need?
Toy version. That's vaguely terrifying. I don't think like an Excel spreadsheet's not a toy.
Guess you could have your accessory would be a computer?
Tablet? I don't know. Not a toy. Like, I don't know. I kind of want to be a Build-A-Bear. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay. Here's one of my silly questions again. Okay. Does the internet make people smarter or dumber?
I say it makes them dumber. Yeah, because they don't have to think about it. They can just Google it.
Yeah, right. That's true.
And they don't have to think for themselves. Like, so when I was a kid, right, and they would say, "Oh, this kid, how do you tell if somebody's smart? What do they remember?" We don't remember anything. We all have smartphones, so they're smart and we're dumb.
It's true. It's true. My phone is way smarter than me now. I don't remember phone numbers because my phone does it for me. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, what is a type of service that you loathe but can't say no to?
Ugh. You know what? At this point, I don't think there's anything that I don't say no to. If I really, if I hate it, I'm not doing anybody any favors by doing it. And there's somebody that's totally their jam. So my job is to find that person. There are jobs that like they don't really bring me joy, but there's nobody else to do them. I can do them until we find the person that is their jam. But I kind of don't really. Now, tomorrow, somebody's going to ask me to do something I loathe, and I'm going to feel like, oh,
You're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's the thing.
I'm going to have to do that, aren't I? I'm going to have to do
Yeah.
that.
For me, picking up the trash around the porta potties would be a job that I cannot stand, but it's one of those I always feel like someone's got to do it, and if nobody else is around, then I'll
do
find my
it.
rubber. Yeah,
Yeah.
me, because porta potties. Here's an interesting one. What is your favorite smell at events? What is the thing that just takes you to the SCA?
Well, I live in Colorado, so I used to say campfires. And I don't feel like that's true anymore. I don't
No.
think that's true anymore. But yeah, campfires and rain, like that really, when you're at a dusty site and it starts to rain, just that ozone smell, that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. Petrichor. I think that word is petrichor.
Yes.
Right? The smell of rain.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Duchess Nichelle has another question, which is, for you personally, when do you recognize art as a service or vice versa?
Oh, well, she knows me. That's a very good question. All right. When do I recognize art as a service? I think it's intent for me. And yeah. I think that's why that matters. I don't know, but to me it does, I guess. I remember I sewed, I don't even know how many tunics, so many. And to me, that was just, it was a service. It was something that needed to get done. It was the right thing to do. And so it was service. I don't know.
Yeah. I think teaching art forms can also be a service, I think.
For sure.
I feel,
Sure.
providing.
And when a job is done so well and so gracefully that you can't imagine, like it happens so perfectly or so joyously, that is art for sure.
It's true. Yeah. Duchess Nichelle just said that you had a great answer. So there you go. Okay. Back to my questions. Is the book always better than the movie?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
When I first put that question in the list, I've been trying to think because I know that there is some movie that I later read the book of and was kind of like, oh, I don't like that. So,
well, but I always try to read the book first. And that way, when I watch the movie, I have the full picture.
Yeah.
So I can't unread it, So for me, the book's always, for me, the book's.
Yeah. My best example of that is Lord of the Rings. Terrible movies. I know. Oh, Aquilina just said Sense and Sensibility is a terrible book, but a great movie.
But which one?
Yeah, because God, that's been made into a movie
Yeah.
half a dozen times, probably. No. Um, you are a member of multiple peerages. And how are they similar and how are they different? I mean, other than the obvious.
Well, I think what surprised me really is what people assume a member of the different orders is like. Like when somebody says somebody's a laurel, people go, "Oh, I know what that is." Right? Or I know
Yeah.
what a knight is. Like, yeah. Or
Yeah.
a pelican, oh, I know who they are. That's
Yeah.
the one that surprised me. It's like, really, I'm me. Like, I am an example of a pelican, an example of a laurel, but that doesn't. So the expectations and what people's assumptions of
Mhm.
what they are was a big surprise to me. How they're saying we all care. We all care. We all care a lot. We all care about our kingdoms and about our respective arts and about maybe making people's experience better. All of that.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying.
Yes. Okay, another silly one.
All right.
Can a bar of soap be dirty?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it can. Yes.
Soap, it's clean in and of itself.
Ugh.
But yes, I've seen dirty bars of soap.
Ugh.
I got these from a really weird game, by the way, that I just pulled some random questions that seemed kind of funny, such as, is it okay to have the air conditioner on and the windows open at the same
No, that's not okay. That's not
time?
okay at all.
Never?
Well, I mean, with almost everything, it depends, right?
That's true.
So, granted that there are always a circumstance that the movie is better than the book.
Right.
Um, I still say no. That's not cool. That's not all right.
Uh, what is the thing that you are most looking forward to when events resume in person?
I just want to see my people. I want to know that they're okay. I want to hear their voices and see their faces and yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least half their faces. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the thing that you're dreading the most about events starting up again in person?
People being asshats. I mean, I want people to be safe and I want people to be sensible. And like we've gotten this far and let's just be sensible. And that's my concern is the people being so excited to get together that they forget what we've just been through.
Yeah, I can see that. I have some concerns about, people observing those rules when we all get back together. So,
yeah.
yeah. Last silly question
All
is
right.
pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Not for me. You do you.
Pineapple on pizza.
Don't. I don't like hot pineapple though at all. Like I don't like teriyaki chicken and stuff like that. I just don't.
Yeah. It's Evan and I when we get pizza, it's sausage, pineapple, and olive. So then you get like the spicy, the sweet, and the salty all at once. That's the pizza of choice. Me and the 5-year-old. Apparently I have taste like a 5-year-old. Who knew?
Or maybe it's just very sophisticated. I can't say that about
Yeah.
pineapple on pizza though. So
And the last question that I have is, as a pelican, what is one thing you should always remember?
So one thing you should always remember as a pelican. Okay. That would be that it doesn't matter how much you know, and how much you've researched and how much experience you have, there will come a time when you can't help. That you're not the authority that that person needs, and you can't make it better. So you can try to find somebody who can and support what needs to happen.
That is a brilliant answer. It's true though. Yes, you hit it on the head. I would say as a corollary to that, sometimes no matter how much research and experience and knowledge you have on it, there will always be someone that can teach you something that you didn't know.
For sure. Absolutely. For sure.
Yep. So that is my last question. It doesn't look like we have any more questions in the chat, and we are very nearly out of time. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight and chatting with me. And you are brilliant and amazing, and I'm so glad to get this chance to see your face, even if only on the computer.
Well, thank you very much. It's been really fun. Now I'm gonna have to think about the movie that's better.
Right? Which version of Sense and Sensibility is better? So, yes. Oh, and then I also need to mention, just for anybody watching, that the next session of Peering at the Outlands is the Order of Defense, Demont, on the 28th at 6 p.m. And that is all I have for this evening. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And see you soon. Bye.